Okay, a very good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Career Awareness webinar on business development profession within the FMCG industry, being hosted by the Dreamcatchers today. So my name is Surbhi Kumar and I am the founder of the Dreamcatchers. So I'll start with telling you a little bit about our firm. We are an education consulting firm based out of Mumbai, and our mission is to assist students in realizing their dream of obtaining quality and best fit education. And you would wonder, how do we do that? So specifically for grade 9th and grade 10 student, as you would agree, their immediate need is to select the right subject combination, select the right stream. And for grade 11th and 12th students, it's primarily selecting the right course or courses and even the right colleges as such. Now, how do we do it? So we start with something which is called as a psychometric assessment test, which is a standardized test which assesses a student aptitude, their unique interest areas, their personality traits. Using this psychometric assessment, a detailed career fitment report gets generated, which gets which gives the student insights into the top 10 career clusters, which are kind of best aligned to the student. And that is the starting point from where we can start the career exploration exercise. But keep in mind that the psychometric assessment, it's just a quantitative lens. So we also do individualized and personalized counseling with the students, also involving the parents. And at the end of it, we try to give the student different career pathways or career options, as well as a detailed action plan wherever needed. We also provide our services in the higher education admission guidance space, both for overseas and Indian universities. In terms of specifically our services, we do profile assessment and building and also profile elevation, right? Helping you with country and course shortlisting, best fit college mapping, letter of recommendation guidance, statement of purpose guidance, guidance for scholarship, helping you prepare for interviews and visa guidance as well. So with that, I hope it helps you to understand what are our services and how we can assist you through those. With that, I know it's a Sunday morning, so let's just start with the quiz. There, a very simple statement is there on your screen, which says, sales and business development refer to the same function within a company. So what do you think? Is it true or is it false? And you can put your answers in the chat box or even in the Q&A box, whatever option you are seeing. Yes, chat box is fine. Tanmay, chat box is also fine. You can put it there. Okay. Okay. So what I see as responses is like it's a mixed response. 40% of you're saying that it's the same function, and 60% of you are saying no, it's a different function. So it's an incorrect statement. So yes, majority is right here. It is an incorrect statement. Sales and business development are two distinct functions within a company. It's not the same. And with the next slide, I will try to give you some understanding of it as well. Now, let's first try to understand what is business development, because that is the topic for our career awareness session today. So business development is primarily the process of planning for future growth by identifying new opportunities, forming strategic partnerships, adding value to a company, and it primarily involves understanding or having a deep understanding of the target audience, the market opportunities, and in effective outreach channels to drive success. So as you can imagine with this definition, that business development is much more broader role as compared to sales. Now on your screen, you will also see kind of like a distinction which we have put, and it is actually sourced from LinkedIn, which is a hub for like career search, job search as such, right? So sales is more kind of like a tactical role with a short-term execution strategy, whereas business development is more of a role which involves a lot of strategy, long-term planning as such. Okay, in terms of skill sets, there could be overlapping skill sets, but for business development, what is also needed is having a good understanding of the organization, of the market space you're operating in, and business intelligence. So a sales person might be more focused on, in terms of knowledge, more focused on the product or the service. But a business development person would be looking at it from a company level as such. So with that, I hope like there is some clarity between the two functions, because this is a common, I would say, misunderstanding among the students with whom I have interacted. When we say business development, the first thing which comes to their mind is only sales. Okay. So with that, I would want to move on to the highlight of our session today, which is the Fireside Chat with Shailendra Singh, who is currently business head at Nykaa. So I'm sure with the questions which we are going to ask him and his responses, there will be a lot of insights which you all as students, and I do see there are few parents as well in the call, would get clarity in terms of what this profession is all about and how you can prepare yourself better if you are kind of thinking of making your career in this field. With that, let me welcome Shailendra. Let me just unmute you. Okay, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Yeah, I just did that. Hi, Surbhi, and hello, everyone.
Thank you so much, Shailendra, for taking out time today. So I will just start with giving a brief intro of you to our audience so that they understand who is our speaker today and how he can add value to their thought process when it comes to business development as a field. Okay, so Shailendra is a seasoned professional with nearly 2 decades of experience in the fast-moving consumer goods industry. He has extensive experience in category management, brand management, and business development, having worked with established companies like Hindustan Unilever and the rapidly growing beauty retail giant Nykaa. Shailendra has successfully led businesses from start to finish, driven market development, built strong brands, spearheaded digital transformation, managed digital platforms, and established and scaled e-commerce ventures, all while maintaining a competitive edge across various channels. So thank you so much for joining us today, Shailendra. I think we can just kickstart with our first question for you. So are you ready?
Yeah, sure, please.
Okay. And I just want to remind all the students and all the parents out here, you can also ask your questions here. You can put it in the chat box. And if you want to go ahead and ask it live, I can enable the settings for you. You just put it in the chat and you can ask the question live as well. Okay. With that, let's move on to the first one. So Shailendra, can you briefly describe your current role at Nykaa? And why did you decide to build your career in the FMCG industry? And how has your career trajectory been?
Sure. Okay. So as you mentioned in my introduction, I'm the business head at Nykaa. Currently, I head the physical retail channel for Nykaa, which is stores which are called Nykaa Lux and Nykaa On Trend. I have a large team which comprises of sales head, marketing head, learning and development head, and projects and supply chain. So combination of all of the different functions that go into doing a retail business is something which I manage. Why did I choose to build my career in FMCG? I think when I started, this was one area. One thing which inspired me was to be leader of an organization and kind of manage large businesses. That was always a bit of the ambition and aspiration in my mind. Okay. And to that end, I felt starting in a large organization like HUL would be a great place. And then going through the sales and marketing functions. And I'm someone who's always believed that understanding consumers, understanding what drives them, what is their motivation, is what can really help unlock a lot of business opportunities. Okay. And that's why I was always fascinated by FMCG, because pretty much you've got so many things around you. It's an evergreen industry. no matter what happens, people are going to eat food, people are going to take shower, people are going to apply products, personal care products to them. So it is an industry which is an evergreen industry, which is massive in size. And hence, I thought to become a business leader who can lead some of the organizations in FMCG would be a great place to be. And that's what I aspired for. And that's why I chose FMCG.
Great.
In terms of my journey, I think that was the third part of the question.
Yeah.
I've done my engineering. Schooling was basically with the science, maths, and computer science, followed by engineering, which then led me to doing my MBA as well. This was in finance, sales and marketing, and IT. And post that, I joined HUL, which is a large FMCG company, which is the largest in India, in fact. And then did different stints over there over 16 years, different stints in sales and marketing, so that I could get a full rounded experience of what does FMCG business entail. And then subsequently, I've moved to Nykaa. So that's been a bit of the journey which I have gone through.
Very exciting, I would say so. And we have already started receiving questions. So Tapasya, just hold on for like a couple of more minutes. Actually, I have a similar question. So at that point of time, I will also add to that question given what you are asking as well. So Shailendra, next question is just help us understand, or primarily our students out here, what is your typical day or week look like? Okay, specifically from a business development profession per se, right? And what are the primary roles and responsibilities of a business development professional in an FMCG industry specifically?
Understood. So business development is actually a large term which can be applied based on different kinds of organizations. So at Nykaa, where we are doing physical retail, where I am leading physical retail, business development basically entails expansion of stores, and hence what are the new stores that we can create and kind of go for. So that then entails how do you choose the right location? The team, of course, brings up some options. How do you strategically work out all the finances of it? Will it be profitable, not be profitable? Is there enough consumer demand? And then basis that, you kind of open it. That is one aspect of business development. The second aspect is the partnership with the brand partners, which is where we've got many brand partners who are selling their brands through Nykaa. So strengthening those partnerships, creating business plans, because those organizations have their priority. We have our own priority. How do you come to a common ground and identify amongst, say, 50 different options, which are those 5 options that you want to go deeper in relationship with and take that business forward. So that is what in a way entails. And then there are business development from internal perspectives. So for example, for a larger business, a year, 2 year down the line, if in case you want to start new initiatives, let's say you want to come up with a new concept store, then you got to build a team towards that. So in a way, it's quite holistic decision making, which comes as part of it, where you're looking at multiple dimensions of the business and kind of creating that. So a typical day would look like, hence a conversation of, having a clear strategy, which then you are working towards on day-to-day life, or daily basis, having reviews, having meetings where the options are being proposed, you're discussing them, reviewing some of the past so that you know how do you make the right decision for the future. You keep learning from things that you've already done. And that's how kind of you continue to shape it. So it involves a lot of meetings, a lot of going out in the market, a lot of meeting new business partners. So yeah, it's a very, people-oriented kind of a field in that sense.
Good, understood. Just to kind of like dissect your response a little bit, can you help the students out here understand what functions are within your org specifically, right? So which you might be overseeing and which helps you in terms of like obviously taking the business forward, and how big is your team?
Yes. So I have 2 kinds of teams which report into me. One which is head office based team, and second which is store staff. We have got about 160 stores, and there are about 1,000 people who are manning those stores. So those are distributed across the country. So that is one set of team which folds into me. The second is, as I said, the head office team. The head office team comprises of multiple functions. Of one is sales and operations, which leads and drives each of these stores and kind of manages whatever are our priorities to be done over there. Then there's supply chain team, which makes sure that the stocks are all fully provided on time to the stores, keeps a check of inventory and everything. Then is the brand management team. This is the team which goes out and creates the partnership with different brands who are selling in our stores, creating joint business planning, so that we are able to figure out which brand will run on what kind of promotions, what kind of sales will we do for a particular brand, and how will we merchandise or put it in the store. Which are the new brand launches which are coming up? How do you take that forward? So that is the business brand management team. Then we've got a very extensive learning and development team. As I said, there are 1,000 people who are in the stores. So to train them for processes that we want them to run, on how to interact with customers, on how to understand the brand. These are the kind of things which come under the learning and development team. Then there is marketing team. The marketing team takes care of calling out our key priorities, our key calendars. Comes up with a calendar. So for example, if there is Diwali coming up or Durga Puja coming up, then how do we create some activations around that in our stores, so that the consumers, when they come into the store, the shoppers, when they come into the store, they are excited. Because how boring would it be if the store looked like the same throughout the year? And hence what we do is we really kind of understand what are the local festivals, what are different events coming up. When there is a Mother's Day, for example, then we would dress up the store. We would put up some banners. We would decorate the stores in different ways for different kinds of events. So this is what we do inside the store. Then to tell consumers that the stores are looking like this, please come, there is some special offer running, some sale running, is what the marketing does. So when we open a new store, they go out and communicate to everyone. So that is the role the marketing team plays. Then there is projects team. The projects team is basically the team which manages the store. Because when you've got all of these stores, you are making them in a particular way. So making them, when we take a store from, say, a landlord, then how do you dress up how do you do the tiling, the light, fixtures, everything that comes as part of that, and regular maintenance as well. And then there is this business BD team, business development, which is core towards identifying the properties. So they go out and kind of bring in the new plates, the new stores, which we can evaluate and go with. And last but not the least, I forgot about finance team. So finance team, the other one which works to identify what's the kind of profit are we making, should we be investing, what kind of budget to put for marketing. So the entire profit and loss of the business is something which this team manages. So that's a composition of different functions which report into me.
Great. I think this is a very insightful response, because it also gives a glimpse of what are different like mini functions and functions within a business area itself. Okay.
Yes.
So now I will club my question with Tapasya's question. So my question primarily is, how has your educational qualification helped you in building a career in the FMCG industry? And is MBA a must-have qualification to build a career in this field? And what Tapasya has asked is actually related only. So Shailendra, you mentioned MBA as something which you did. So I want to understand how MBA helped you in this journey. So similar question almost.
Yeah. Good thing about this FMCG industry is it is not a very, very technical industry in that sense, right? It is something which you can pick up from different kinds of streams. And I do have colleagues who have come from very interesting backgrounds. But I'll tell you how to approach the education and how I approached my education in the initial stages, which have all built up and added me or helped me here. I do feel MBA has helped tremendously. Okay. And I believe engineering also helped me out. Okay. Immediately post your class 12th, when you take up your stream of graduation, which could be in any different fields, gives you an in-depth experience on the field that you choose. So when I chose engineering, I thought it gave me a very structured approach to any problem solving.
Yeah.
So for example, when I had to create and write software for some of the electronics and communication projects that I was making and doing, the algorithmic based approach is what helped me, right? So learning that curriculum provided me with a tool, which was that how do you look at a problem by breaking it down and really structuring your solutions in that manner, right?
Excellent.
And
Okay.
everything that you learn keeps on opening up your mind as well to different kinds of possibilities. I do feel MBA helps big time. MBA is unlike engineering. It will not be about the content so much. It is about how you go about it. Because in MBA, most of the times, there will never be wrong answers. When you're doing business cases can have multiple different kinds of responses. I think in MBA, what you enjoy the most is if you're able to get into some good industry, some good college, the colleagues whom you've got, the case studies that you do really shapes your thinking, gives you a very rounded perspective of how business scenarios pan out. And I think that is what MBA did for me, because I did not have any experience prior to MBA. Going through the MBA different courses, I picked up finance, which told me how do you apply finance in business.
Yeah.
So some of these things really helped me out. And when I now look back, I think again some of the constructs of how you approach, like the 4P model, which MBA provided me in marketing, right, or the SWOT analysis, are the mental models with which you can apply and think different problem statements. So I think MBA gives you that rounding, and also some of the colleagues whom you meet, because MBA eventually is a place where you will find people are coming from all kinds of graduation backgrounds. Unlike say when you do MTech, you've got all engineers coming in, but when you do MBA, I had a finance guys who were CAs there. I had engineers like me. I had people who had done graduation in arts. I had people who had done graduation in commerce, and I had people. One of them was actually a doctor as well. A couple of them doctors. One was an IS officer who had also wanted to do MBA and joined. So the moment when you are working and kind of studying with people with such diverse backgrounds, I think it gives you a very well-rounded experience, and which is why in MBA you must really not just be about what's the book says. Book will tell you a lot, but there is a lot more which you will learn from each other, and that is what I think MBA for me was all about, and that gave me a great grounding for FMCG, and which enabled me that I can take on any role, any responsibility. I don't have to be worried about that. Since I've done engineering, I can only be an engineer. MBA gave me that I can travel to different industries, different kind of roles, which I did as well over my career, actually.
Great. Thank you so much for that response, Shailendra. And I hope, Tapasya, you got good insights here, like how MBA can help. Definitely, I would say whatever Shailendra mentioned holds true. And we cannot emphasize enough that the network you create and the peer learning you have makes you a well-rounded individual, but also opens a lot of doors for you in terms of even your career development as well. Okay. With that, let me take you back to your high school days, Shailendra. So my next question is, were there any specific subjects or even experiences during your high school years that particularly helped you in your professional journey till date?
So, as I said, as a business head, there's this aspect of leading teams and kind of because FMCG business, and be it sales, be it marketing, you're working with a lot of people. Say, when you are becoming a software engineer, you're typically sitting down on a laptop and solving for a code which you are applying yourself. Those type of roles would be what you would call as individual contributor role. Whereas typically in FMCG, at a slightly mid to senior level, you will always end up being a leader who's managing a lot of team, right? So in my high school days, I can now recollect that when I had become the head boy, and when I had to kind of conduct the assemblies, right? And then I had to go from team to team. So be it a monitor, be it a head boy, different kinds of initiatives that you take and leadership roles that you take up in your small ways. I remember being part of organizing committee of Mac Fair, which used to happen in City Montessori School, Lucknow.
Okay.
And as part of that, I was looking at how do you organize different things. And that's nothing to do with the curriculum, right, which you're doing, but just taking those responsibilities on yourself, you start to think in a very different manner. You start being practical. You start applying some of your intelligence. You start thinking in a little more, what do you say, open manner, which is what matters. So that is what I would say from my high school days. And similarly, my engineering as well, the fest which would happen, which I would kind of be part of the organizing committee or lead some of them. I think those are the kind of experiences which definitely helped during my school days to be in this.
Great. So I think you brought forward a very, very important point, which we also try to emphasize to our students, especially like high schoolers, right? Whatever resources the school or the college is providing, it's up to you how you make use of it, right? So even the opportunities in terms of leading a bunch of students or taking part in cultural events, right? It helps develop a lot of soft skills. And when you go in your corporate role, or even if you start your enterprise, as Shailendra mentioned, like you deal with a lot of people. Definitely, there are roles which are more focused on dealing with people or managing teams rather than being on the core technical side. So these activities at the school level would definitely help you. You may feel like, oh my God, maybe I'm putting my academics aside and not focusing on it. And specifically, sometimes parents feel so. But believe us that this is something which would be really contributing to the overall development of the child and making them a thorough professional in the later years of their life. So thank you for bringing that point forward, Shailendra. Thank you so much for that. With that, let me again just talk about the business development profession per se. So can you just try to shed some light on the career path of a business development professional, and specifically what kind of opportunities for growth and investment is there for someone who wants to make their career in this field?
I think business development or the business head kind of place eventually comes by combining different experiences that you've had. Because when you are trying to, let's say, grow a particular business, you should have first-hand experience of doing a lot of things. So when I look back at my journey as well on what has helped me come here or similar people, I see people have tried out different kinds of roles around FMCG industry.
Okay.
Particularly. So, for
Okay.
example, I started my career as an area sales manager,
Okay.
which was managing sales in general trade. I did a bit of modern trade sales. I led e-commerce sales. I was also a brand manager and category head. So combinations of these really gave me a great learning about different channels on how you sell. Because if you are trying to create a strategy, you should ideally understand that business, understand the nuances of different parts of the business very well. So I don't think there is one linear journey which will take you to being a business head, but what for sure is needed is a in-depth experience of the different parts which are critical to driving the business forward. And hence, depending on which organization you are in, you have to start as really leading a particular part, a small part, which could be through sales, which could be through brand management. Understand consumers really well, because everything what you do in FMCG is actually consumer backwards, and especially in a business to consumer kind of a company. And I think that's the combination. So I know while I have not answered it directly as ABC, but I'm trying to give a sense that what's crucial is that the right kind of education, which helps you get a well-rounded understanding of businesses, is something which is handy. And hence, MBA is definitely something which I would recommend from my own personal journey. Post which you start in any organization which is consumer focused. You pick up the experience of doing sales. I mean, I have sat on the bikes of the salesmen and gone and sold products into the store. So when you do that yourself is when you actually understand how does different parts of the businesses work. And now with all of that learning is how I'm able to take the decisions of how should we take a particular business forward. So I think that's the crucial aspect. Similarly, my understanding of finance. So never think that one particular field is not your relevance, because that will then limit your capability of what you can get to. Had I been obsessed and focused only about sales, I could have become a sales head and just stopped there. But because I had understanding of finance from my MBA days, and also in my roles when I was learning, I would be curious to understand from different people how would they create business case, how would they think of a particular profit and loss. So all those things helped, and then when you have in-depth experience over years is what takes you to becoming a business head and a business development leader.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for that response, Shailendra. I have got another question from Sagar, and kind of it was my next question as well. So, Shailendra sir, can you tell us what are the core skills which one should focus on if they want to head a business in consumer space?
Okay, yeah. I would say core skills, first and foremost, is people skill, being able to manage people, being able to understand different people, having that empathy to really, because as a leader, as a business head, you don't do things yourself. You have a large organization which you need to motivate, which you need to drive and manage. So people management, leadership is one of the topmost core skill which I would call out.
Okay.
Second, I would say is problem solving skill or analytical skills, which then means that when you look at a business, how do you understand, when you go through a lot of data, how do you figure out what's the problem which is there in this business, which you can solve? Because growth comes by, of course, doing things, but sometimes what happens is, and all businesses are very complex businesses, there are multiple things which are happening at the same time. So to identify what are those things which are driving the business forward and what are those things that are pulling it back, that you can only figure out and analyze when you can look at the data closely, when you can analyze the problem which is happening, identify the problem, and then solve it. So I think analytical abilities to understand data and problem solving skills is the other thing which I would say are really crucial. The third thing I would say is the ability to listen closely to the consumers and consumer insights, because you will see a lot of observations, but at this, let's say a consumer is not shopping, is one thing which you pick up. Now, while that's a problem statement to say, but what's the reason behind it? Why is she not shopping? What has gone wrong? And why? So when you speak to the consumer, why does she choose one shop versus the other, one product versus the other? Those are the kind of things which only come when you do a lot of detailed consumer insight. So again, being able to understand closely without your biases, to see what is she saying, what is she doing, is the other core skill which I would say is crucial to becoming a business head, because you need to be able to understand, and it's not just through your team, because everyone will interpret different situations in their own way. So as a leader, how can you stay connected? How can you really figure it out is the other thing which I would call out. So leadership, people skill, problem solving, analytical abilities, skill, and this consumer insights are the three things which I would call out as core skills.
Excellent. So I hope, Sagar, you got answer to your question. And yeah, if you have a follow-up one, let me know. I can unmute you or you can put it on the chat again. Okay, let's move on to our next one, Shailendra. So in your experience, what are some of the most challenging aspects of working in the FMCG industry, and specifically with your role as such?
I think one of the most challenging things can be to really stay updated on the consumer's shift. Okay. Because as you can imagine, I mean, all of us are constantly evolving, because we are exposed to so much of media, so much of inputs from all sides. When you meet your friends and then you talk, when you watch different serials, soaps, right? when you see a particular sport, right? Or when you go online and when you see things, when you watch movies, all of these things you guys should understand actually impacts how people consume products, how people, what choices do they make,
Mm-hmm.
whether they start loving a particular brand or start hating a brand. All of those things are driven by a lot of these micro inputs which are happening, and those shifts are happening all the time. What the biggest challenge which we face is, because it is an evergreen, always on industry, the changes are also happening all the time. So how do you stay connected to the consumer all the time to understand when are those shifts starting to happen, is the most challenging aspect of the role that I face from the consumer perspective. Internally, of course, I think there will always be uh, some competition, because this is such a large industry that there is always some or the other competition company, new products being launched, new chains being created, new retailers coming out. So there is always so much of action happening. So again, in this case, how do you keep looking at your um, competition environment, your brand environment, and really keep fine tuning to stay relevant? Because over here in this industry,
Mm-hmm.
staying exactly the same and not listening to the consumers or any of this can actually the be a really really big issue, and hence that's one thing which is the largest challenge I would call out.
Okay. So, yeah, we touched upon the challenge. So, let's move to the brighter side now. What do you think are some of the major rewards of this profession? And if you can also touch upon how rewarding it could be financially over time, and what kind of remuneration one can expect if they want to really start and build their career in this industry?
uh, I think first, from what are the rewarding aspects of the job that I do, and pieces. Again, this is a business which is not just in a silo, but touches so many consumers. So when, as a brand manager, I was creating some advertisement, and it would get played on TV, right? And different people would see, and they would talk about it. You would feel a lot of pride in this, because over here, whatever you do is not just within your company, it's actually with the consumers. So when you would make, I was a brand manager on Axe, so when you would create some really good ad which people would talk about, it would be like really amazing that, yeah, wow, they've loved it, and this is my work which I have done. So there is always that factor. Or let's say when I would when I was managing modern trade chain of Food Bazaar, and we would set up our products, when we would go shopping and when we would see consumers buying our products from the stores, we would say, wow, because of the way we have executed, it's being picked up and sold. So there is always that external validation which you keep getting in this kind of a business. So that is something which I felt a bit of a wow as a day-to-day basis. Uh, in terms of what is the potential earning opportunity for anyone, uh, I believe when you do FMCG for long, right, you become a business leader who then heads different businesses and industries. Because if you're able to understand consumers, if you're able to problem solve for FMCG, you are actually able to problem solve for pretty much all kinds of businesses. And this is the reason why, when you look at Hindustan Unilever, which is where I worked for 16 years, uh, if you pick up large companies and their CEOs, most of them, and I can almost guarantee you, most of them would have worked for some parts at HUL, at Hindustan Unilever. And that's the kind of learning that you get. And I'm sure, or you will find some other FMCG connection, because this is such a close proximity to the consumers. If you're able to understand consumers and really problem solve for them, you can solve any kind of business problem as well. And that's and hence, coming back to the point that you can become like CEOs of really, really large organizations, in which case remunerations can be really, really high. I mean, a typical CEO is able to draw out anything upwards of 1 crore to even, I mean, for large organizations, 15, 16 crores in a year, right? And above these, there are stock options which you get, which is also a large part of the remuneration. So I think, because these are eventually culminating at the topmost job of any organization, So you can imagine these can be really good paying jobs if you stick to it. Um, when you start, if you've done MBA from a good place, you start really strong as well. You're able to start, let's say, in these days, easily at about 20-25 lakhs kind of a salary per annum. If you've done your MBA from one of the top tier schools and are joined on the FMCG companies. So that's the place. Good thing about FMCG is, by the way, you needn't be from tier one college alone to really build a business over here or career over here. You can even start from a tier two or a tier three institute, right? But of course, a good one, so that your education is solid. You've understood the learnings properly, and then work your way, because nothing is rocket science in this business. There is no hard skill which you need right from day one. What I spoke about are all softer skills of problem solving or doing different things. So I do have colleagues who are not from tier one, but have done really well for them, from tier one colleges, but have done really well for themselves. So I think that's the bit of it. But of course, because they were not from tier one, they started with lower salaries. Then you start with anywhere 5 lakhs to 10 lakhs kind of a bracket, maybe, again depending on tiers of colleges. So a lot depends on what kind of education at what point are you starting. Yeah.
Great. So I'm sure, like, again, as you said, it's rewarding both financially as well as otherwise, for sure. Now, while you were speaking, there was one other question which kind of popped up in my mind. Say, if you go to a campus for campus placement and you're looking for someone to start with your organization, right? What kind of skills you would be looking at, because the person is, like, say, fresh out of college, right? So not trained on the job. So what kind of skills you would be looking for?
Yeah. So when I actually interview people and when I look to hire people from colleges or even from outside, the biggest thing which I look at is, are they logical in the way they approach any conversation or any question, right? As I said, there is no exact syllabus towards cracking a sales job or cracking a brand management job, but being able to think like a consumer, being able to be logical in and analytical in the way you approach it. Analytical abilities is something which I definitely look at very closely. So I would ask them some questions around market share, so that I'm able to understand if they're able to follow how does basic analysis works. So that is another thing. The third is being able to communicate clearly, because this is one job which is not about, and communication clearly does not means flawless English, by the way. Communication clearly sometimes can be a bit of English as well. Of course, it's great to have a great flowing English, but communication essentially is you being able to put across your point in a very clear manner, right? Clarity of thought, and then being able to communicate that to the other person. Sometimes I have people who were not so fluent while talking, right? But the clarity of thought was so strong that I did go with them, and they did really good. But of course, what helps is if you're able to talk a little more freely, if you have that confidence in yourself, because no one is looking for someone who's very uh, lacking in confidence. And I keep telling everyone that I have believed always that all of these things, I mean, no one can tell me that something I cannot do. It is all up to, if I put my head to it, I can crack that problem. I can crack that job. I can understand what goes behind it. And I'm not talking about technical jobs. In FMCG, in these kinds of jobs, it's just about being willing to do the hard work and kind of cracking it. The moment you think like that, I think a lot of confidence comes automatically. Then you're not nervous that you're trying to impress. You're saying, yes, you know you can do it, right? But then responding to the question. So I think a bit of that confidence is something which I also seek in the individuals whom I interact with. That are they someone who feel that yes, they can do it, and are not completely nervous about it. So I think those are things which I look at.
Got it. Thanks so much for that, Shailendra. Now I'll move on to my next question, which is, again, like, as you know and everyone knows, technology is all pervasive these days, right? So what role does technology play in this entire business development space within, again, the FMCG industry as such?
Yeah. So I'll answer this from two counts. One is from the business perspective, and second is from me as an individual perspective as well. Because what happens is, and let me start with me as an individual perspective first. Uh, Technology is getting to a level where it can help you tremendously if you use it properly. Of course, no one should be slave of technology, but I think each one of us needs to understand how does, say, a Gen AI work, right? Being able to leverage that to create the right kind of productivity hacks for you is something which is important. Similarly, knowing Excel properly, right, are again part of technologies. I mean, for me, technology is not just about one thing, but being aware what kind of improvements are happening. Let's say when I'm making a presentation and I needed a particular kind of image, sometimes when I'm searching, I cannot get it. So it helps that I know that there is a mid journey where I can actually type and I can get the image. Or even Meta now has that app, right? So all of that helps you do a storytelling in a really strong manner. So I think you as an individual need to understand technology so that you are able to apply it for yourself without becoming slaves of it. I think that's how I look at technology when it comes to me as an individual. When I talk about business, of course, there are so many tech changes which are happening. Let's say when I'm talking about an outlet, when I'm talking about a beauty retail store, I need to have technology through which I can have the skin analyzed of a consumer, which can tell what kind of wrinkles, what kind of things are there. I need to have technology where I can take any question of the customer and figure out the right answer for her query that she is asking. So I think being someone who is not afraid of technology is very, very important. While you might not be the AI or the tech person, but at the same time, as a business leader, as a business person, you will be very, very close to technology all the times. So I think that technology orientation is very, very crucial. And in each of the businesses, different kinds of technologies will keep on happening. I mean, even when you are working on laptop, emails and all, there is technology which can help you remind of different things, so that you don't miss out. Because when you are working, there are so many things which are happening. I know there were used to be basic reminders, but now when you send out an email, there's an auto reminder that this person has not responded. How can you check? So I think being comfortable with technology is a very, very basic requirement now going forward. And I think that's what I would urge all the students who are listening, and their parents to really uh, kind of be in that space.
And I received a very interesting question when you brought up AI. So Siddharth is asking, can AI replace most of the jobs in this industry? What's your view?
No, I have looked at AI very, very closely. I have been reading, studying, and everything. And one thing which I can tell you is nothing will replace all the jobs ever. That's a simple one-line answer which you can always take close. Of course, the nature of the jobs will keep on changing, right? I think there are always two aspects of uh, let's say what is being done and why is it being done, right? The why is something which technology will never be able to figure out an answer. The what is to be done, once you define, the technology can come and help you out. So technology will never kind of, and which is why, I mean, if you look at it, quite a few of the rote learnings have gone away. Nobody is now asking you to learn books after books after books. People are going behind concepts. People are saying learn conceptually, because that is what will keep shaping. Technology will always remain our slave. I don't think it'll ever happen the other way around, especially if you don't allow yourself as an individual to be. I mean, yes, you can become a slave of that. I need my iPad if I eat my food, etc. But apart from those kind of things, technology will never start to master you. I believe technology will always work in augmentation with humans, and human will be able to really shape what to do even better things with them. So like artists can get ideas and now take it from there. It is not as if the artist will get replaced by technology, because no matter how much amount of machine learning is done, it will always never have the innovativeness which a human can bring in. And that is where the jobs are not going anywhere. Of course, the nature of the jobs will keep changing. So For instance, if there used to be a person who would always count the number of people coming into the store, which would be such a boring job. Now there is technology which counts the number of people going through a door.
That
So
ticker,
those kind
right?
of jobs
Right.
will
That's what
replace.
you're referring to. Yeah.
That is technology for you, and that will replace. But those guys are now doing better jobs, because that's when you improve and you learn better things and kind of you. So upskilling yourself is hence crucial, is what I think.
Yeah. Thanks so much for sharing your perspective on this important and hot topic, Shailendra. And Siddharth, thank you for bringing this up, because this is a common question which is in everyone's mind. So I hope that response helps a bit. Let's move on to our next one. Shailendra, if you can throw some light on kind of what do you foresee as the industry trends within this industry itself, and how can students and even young professionals prepare themselves well for what is coming in this industry?
I think in this industry of FMCG, as I said, it is a lot about what direction are consumers moving, right? Convenience is one thing which everyone wants and needs, and kind of technology is also solving for that. So, for example, while previously you would have to go out to buy every time, e-commerce came in and started delivering you right next day or the day after. Then came quick commerce, which is delivering you the same day in a very short time. So I think all of those conveniences is something which consumers keep seeking. Similarly on products as well. If something used to work after 10 applications, now there are products after 2 applications, which will give you similar results. So I think when you look at the industry, the basic needs of the people will all stay similar. Those are fundamental needs, and that's how kind of it will keep moving. However, the way and what consumers expect from different products will keep on evolving. So I think that evolution is something which is constant, and that is what you will have to keep looking at very, very closely. Technology will come in very, very close, especially when you're talking about how people buy products in the store, right? How people place the order or take information. I'll give you one example. I remember when I had joined HUL, Hindustan Unilever, back in 2006. At that point of time, very few people had mobile. If you wanted to know about anything, all you could do was you could kind of go to the store and ask about it. And there, the person, whatever they know is what they would tell you, because even Google was not that big then. Then Google started becoming stronger, and everyone can Google things and kind of figure out answers. Then the e-commerce came, where the products had detailed descriptions, and consumers kept on asking for those questions. And as business, we had to keep evolving to learn those. I think that is how the space will keep evolving. Good thing is, wherever you start, you will be given induction to all of that. You don't have to worry about it that at this point of time. At this point of time, I think the focus has to be, how can you pick up the tools which will enable you to really become a good business leader? So organizing things in your own small ways, participating in different pieces, not just being stuck and academically kind of being completely drawn in, right? Of course, learn whatever is being taught. It's very important. I'll tell you one hack I used to apply. I would make sure that when I am in college, I would stay away from distractions and listen to the teacher properly. Just doing that gave me all the learning that I needed to, which meant that I didn't have to sit over it and revise so much more. And this is about my MBA days. And that just worked for me, right? So suddenly you find that if you just pay attention to different skills, pay attention to different things which are happening around you, you will be abreast. I don't think you need to worry about that you will be left behind. You just need to, because education system, the curriculum has all been evolving. MBA that I did versus MBA which is now being done, because I have done it 18 years back, is very different. And I'm sure that's how it will keep evolving to the requirements of the businesses and different things. So yeah.
Great advice. I'm sure specifically students, you are listening to it and you would try to apply some of these advice, because that's why we have these sessions with our industry professionals. You listen to the most authentic insights from them. You can really evaluate how you can really chart your journey. So again, I will move on to my next question as well, but I want you to kind of really process what Shailendra just mentioned, because it's a very, very good advice. So thank you again for that one, Shailendra. Now, next question is more around, given you have this platform where, yeah, majority of our attendees are again students, and we do have, as I mentioned, parents as well. What would be some of the myths which you would want to bust related to this profession, or maybe myths or some kind of misconceptions as such?
So, okay, this is a difficult one. I would say one of the misconceptions which I had when I used to think about sales job was that, oh, you will have to, it's a very difficult job. You'll have to sell, and the other person will not respond, and it is just not going to work. That is how I used to think about it as sales when I used to think from college, because we always had that image of the salesman who's bechara running from one place to the other and kind of being thrashed by everyone, extremely high pressure and all of that. I don't think it has to be like that, and nor is it actually like that. Sales can be actually a lot of fun, and sales and business development and all of this. The moment you start enjoying it, start playing it, because sales is where the other person has a requirement and you got something which you're selling. That is how sales happen, right? So I think some of the myths which I have is that do not write off anything just because of the perception that you might have. All of these things exist because there is a requirement at the other end, right? So understand, go deeper into it is how I would advise. And suddenly you start enjoying, because what I used to then love about this job when I actually joined HUL and started doing a bit of that training as well in the beginning, that I was out and about. I was not in my office all the day locked in and kind of working on something. I was actually meeting people. I was visiting different places, and I traveled across the country in different regions to look at the sale over there. And that was brilliant, right? So I think the myth in my head was busted when I actually did it. And that's what I would say, that don't box yourself into any particular stereotype which you've heard or which you've been made to believe. Experience for yourself and interact more with the people who are doing it. I think you'll realize what actually it is, and then you can figure out what clicks for you. What is it that you really like? Because ultimately, that's where it matters. If you start to enjoy something, then I believe it all becomes fun. It is not really hard work. Of course, you have to put in your strong efforts, but then it becomes very rewarding in terms of mentally you're like really enjoying it and not really a burden.
Great. Thank you so much for clarifying that myth or misconception, which is generally be the case for many of the students who would start their profession in this field or anything related to business development or sales per se. My last question before we move on to some fun part as well. If you could go back in time, Shailendra, is there anything which you would want to change in your career journey?
What would I want to change?
You could have done differently per se.
I think this is really got me stumped. I think if I could do things differently, maybe I would not worry so much about the results all the time and experience it full. Is something which I would do a little more in some of the other jobs that I've done. I think one of the perception which I've always had and which has helped me is that every bit adds up, right? When you do something, while at that point of time it might not be, and of course it's not about changing industries altogether. It is about, when I was doing different roles at HUL also, I would jump from one role to the other, which was completely not related, but eventually it all added up. I think, however, I did have that inertia in the beginning. If I could change that, and if I could look at it with an open mind, is something which I would want to change, because then I know I could have had even better learning from those stints and those roles which I did.
Okay, so enjoying the journey more and more, vis-a-vis being always kind of worried about what would be.
Yeah, no, I think you captured it well. I mean, it is not about a destination. I mean, yes, let's say my dream is to become a CEO, right? Uh, I could be very impatient about it and really just keep myself pushing myself and say, "Oh, till I become CEO, it's not there yet. It's not there yet." But sometimes it can make you lot impatient, and you then don't enjoy. Sometimes, if it's taking a little longer, you start getting worried. But I think it all happens for the good, because the experience that you add up takes you there, and you could become CEO of a small organization, or you could become CEO of a really large organization, because you've added up all those experiences. So I think it is that enjoying yourself is extremely important, because that is when you learn the most. That is when you're able to really give it your best. And I think that's how it all adds up.
Agree, totally agree. I know we are drawing towards the closure of the session. So we got a lot of insights from you from a professional standpoint, right? It would also help us and the students out here to see the other side of Shailendra. So I'll just start with few rapid fire questions. So again, you don't have to think too much. Whatever comes to your mind in first go, please shoot it out. Okay. So the first question is, or the first thing which we want to know is fun fact about Shailendra.
Okay, a fun fact is that I really cannot stay awake almost after 10:30 p.m. in the night. After 10 o'clock, I start yawning, and no matter where I am. And this becomes very difficult at times when I have late night office dinners. It's like I'm sitting with someone senior and I'm yawning. Of course, it becomes a bit of a issue, but I tell them that I just go to bed after 10. So that's something which is me. Yeah.
So no late night parties now.
No late. I mean, yeah, I don't prefer late night parties, is how I would put it. Start
Okay.
early, end early.
Okay. Okay. So if not FMCG industry, then alternatively, kind of like, or maybe your current role as well within the FMCG industry, what you would have pursued alternatively?
Well, if not this, alternatively, I mean, I've been someone who's always, I would have maybe done my own some kind of business. Is another thought which keeps coming to me. My dad was a builder, so that could have been an alternate this thing which I would have otherwise gone into. But yeah, I'm happy with the choices I've made, and no complaints on that.
I think heading the business at Nykaa is giving you an entrepreneurship related
Yes,
experience, right?
true,
Good.
true.
Okay. Okay. Next one is, if you could have one superpower, just one, what would it be?
I think if I could understand how is anyone feeling whom I'm interacting with, I think
Okay.
that will be amazing, because I really believe all the conversations, everything that we do, always comes with a place where we are, right? If I meet someone and that person is slightly sad or not really feeling up to the mark, right? If I'm able to understand that, then maybe in my own way I could do something to drive it. And it's also business related in a way, because when I'm leading a team, right? And if I know how are they feeling, I know how the results will also be. Because if people are not feeling good about things, then they will not be able to give that as much as well. So I do feel if all of us are able to understand each other and feel each other on how what place are we, I think it will just be very, very amazing. So that's the superpower which I really wish for.
Sure, like great superpower to have. Okay, so the last one is any favorite book and a favorite quote.
Okay. My favorite book actually is the Robin Sharma's 5 a.m. Club.
Okay.
And it's a favorite book because I read it in 2018. And prior to that, I used to actually be quite a late night guy.
Oh, okay.
And I would be up till like 1 o'clock every day. But when I read that book, it gave me a really strong insight on how to be productive. And it mentioned what all the successful leaders actually do. How do they create that space to think? How do they create that space for themselves? And this is what this 5 a.m. Club book is all about. So I will definitely encourage everyone to read it, because I think it's a great habit to have. So that's what made me the morning person than the night person that I was. So that is one book which I would call out. And my favorite quote is a quote from Winston Churchill, who says that success is not final, failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. And I really believe that I I I really believe in this quote because no success is ever lasting. It will be short-lived. You are successful, then you move on to something else. Similarly, no failure is ever permanent. You can fail multiple times, and it's okay completely, because that is what is human. And it's absolutely fine. I think what you do after it, the courage to continue, is really what makes everyone go ahead and achieve whatever they are wanting to achieve. So that's something which really inspires me.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Shailendra. Those were kind of like words of wisdom, I'm sure, for students as well out here. So with that, we come to the close of our session today. So if you have any other message for our students specifically here, though you gave your advice as well, take a moment and share it, and then we can close the session.
No, first and foremost, Surbi, thank you for having me. It was wonderful spending this time. My parting message to the kids is going to be, to the students, is going to be that enjoy yourself. I think don't do anything out of fear. I think you will all do really, really well. Do not be afraid. In fact, go out there and interact with people. I think when you interact with people who've got different experiences, you learn a lot, and that is what will help you figure out. I mean, I remember myself as a young kid. If somebody asked me, what do you want to do, I was also at loss. I didn't have a very clear answer. So it's okay if you don't have a clarity what is it exactly that you want to do. If you just get onto the right fields, and if you just keep interacting, it'll come to you and you'll figure it out. And yeah, enjoy. I think these are some of the best days of life. Each one of you, trust me, will say, while today you might say you want to grow up fast, you will want to look back when you were, say, my age, or something similar. You will say, yeah, those are the golden days. So it is the golden days you guys are living. So live it to the full. And yeah, all the best. Do well.
Great. Thank you so much, everyone. And I know it was a Sunday. Shailendra, you took out time, and all the students and couple of parents as well. And I'm already getting good feedback of the session. So have a good rest of your Sunday, and maybe we'll share our upcoming event details with you. If you find it interesting, do come and attend that as well. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.